Hello to all friends, we don't like it or not. This world is filled with disreputable man criminals and without humanity, who are ready to do anything to get their way, like Pablo Escobar, who eliminated any man who put in his way, or Dennis Rader, who you are just to attract police attention. Whatever their motivation, one thing is sure, they are all very dangerous, so fasten your seatbelts. We will discover 8 incredible criminal against me. I counted the tickets. Music number 1, Esteban Carpio. Let's start it all away with Esteban Carpio, a former American hairdresser, who in my opinion, didn't pass those days that cut the hair mixed up in shady business, like drug trafficking, prostitution. Esteban Carpio was far from being a simple hairdresser, nor a saint. For that matter, one day during an interrogation in a police station, he asked one of the 2 for water inspectors who interrogated him and took advantage of his absence to escape, jumping from the 3rd floor after shot dead. The inspector who was stayed with him in the room interrogation murderer and criminals in the soul. But on the other hand, his escape is not likely to be one of the most long in history, because it was apprehended less than an hour after his escape. And as they say, every act has consequences. Esteban Carpio was sentenced to prison life without parole for the crime that he indeed had. Clerk number 2. The Ripper of Rostov, Andrei Chikatilo, better known as the Ripper of Rostov, Andreychik. Diddy was one of the most monstrous killers in series the world has never known. Born in Ukraine during the 30s, Andrei Chikatilo the Water was a disreputable person, a real psychopath. They raped and tortured his victims before killing them and eating according to justice. From 1978 to 1990. He took the lives of 52 people, including 21 boys and 14 girls aged 8 to 16 years, so says this adult woman later. During his arrest in 1990, he was so proud of these despicable acts he had committed out of himself and say that he had murdered 55 people and not 52 in arrogance. And his lack of humanity had made him one of the most dangerous criminals of the century last. And in 1992, he was sentenced to die. 2 years later, in 1994. He was shot in the neck. What a story. First, making a break, friends, and tell me also in the comments, according to you, Andrei Chikatilo, is it scarier than the criminal precedent? And while you write your answers, and friends, I invite you to put a little thumbs up for subscribing to this channel is activated, the small bell of the notifications to stay connected on the next themes. Now that it's done, let's move on to the next criminals. Number 3, Dennis Rader are all killers. Series of Dennis Rader was arrogant and pretentious. He is better known as BTK, name nickname he used to call himself, attributed, meaning bind, torture, and killers in France, is tied up, tortured and killed. According to many letters he had, fun is sent to the media and the police to brag about his 10 murders. His initials defined him well, because he took his time to prepare these crimes. They stalked and harassed first his victims before capturing them and tortured for a long time. He believed himself smart, superior, is untouchable, until the day he made the mistake that led the police to arrest him. As what it's good to play tag and mouse, but not with Downey's font. Rader was charged for life for these murders and is currently serving his sentence in the Slab high security prison. Dorado. Number 4, Highball Man, sentenced to more of 10 recoveries by justice. Goes real name Jason Barnes Volman is a burglar. You wouldn't like not make eye contact, not because he is a dangerous man, but because with his many face tattoos and on his skull, you might have nightmares. His nickname Highball Man comes from fact that he has a tattooed eye which darken his gaze, making him to be apart and very terrifying. Easily recognizable. In 2012, he was arrested after shooting a policeman. He bitterly regretted the act which he had committed under the influence of the heroin. He pleaded guilty to trial and sentenced to 22 years in prison for attempted first-degree murder, of first-degree burglary, and third-degree crimes in possession of a weapon. That's a lot of charges, is not it? But believe me, they do not risk ending his life in prison, since his sentence includes a release conditional. Number 5, Pablo Escobar. He is no longer to present. Surely you have already heard of him through documentaries of film corresponding dollars at $59 billion today. Alaska at the bar was a dangerous men businessman, a big drug lord without mercy, at the head of the cartel of Medellin, a criminal organization involved between 1970 and 1993 in several mostly illegal business, cocaine trafficking, assassinations, money laundering, and it's more his business was working, the more it became always more dangerous. Its principle with the authorities. Colombian women were simple but killed in his camp. Otherwise, the kill you from were the expression plata o plomo to the lung. It literally means money o lead. It had begun to terrorize everyone country Colombia from 1984 until his death in 1993. and according to the senior members of his organization, who were arrested, Pablo Escobar was responsible for the death of more than 10,000 people, including police officers, from politicians, civilians, etc. He was Colombia's worst nightmare. Number 6. Samuel Little, considered most prolific serial killer, United States. Samuel Little, contrary to other killers, could have the Oscar biggest criminal more than once in his life because he was a neurotic of the worst species. He summoned his victims with blows fist before strangling them. During my life, I have never been worried about number of murders of women. During almost 50 years and 1 year, he was arrested more than 20 times for robbery, assault, attempted rape in 11 different states, and allegedly kidnapped and killed, according to his statements, 93 women in 19 states during his career of murderers. It was a sacred character. Do you see? Despite its many arrests, he always succeeded to slip through the cracks of prison, have the murders he had clerk until the day when the DNA tests have proved his involvement. He was charged on September 5, 2012, and serving 3 sentences in perpetuity before leaving the world, of which he had committed many atrocities. On December 30, 2020. Number 7. Al Capone, public enemy number 1, United States. In 1930, Al Capone is one of the most criminal best known in this list, not because it inspired many authors of novels, films and series, but because it is the most famous 20th century American gangsters. Bootleg, alcohol, gambling, prostitution. Al Capone extended his territory by taking down rival gangs to become what we 11 different states and allegedly kidnapped and killed, according to his statements, 93 women in 19 states during his career of murderers. It was a sacred character. Do you see? Despite its many arrests, he always succeeded to slip through the cracks of prison, have the murders he had clerk until the day when the DNA tests have proved his involvement. He was charged on September 5, 2012, and serving 3 sentences in perpetuity before leaving the world, of which he had committed many atrocities. On December 30, 2020. Number 7. Al Capone, public enemy number 1, United States. In 1930, Al Capone is one of the most criminal best known in this list, not because it inspired many authors of novels, films and series, but because it is the most famous 20th century American gangsters. Bootleg, alcohol, gambling, prostitution. Al Capone extended his territory by taking down rival gangs to become what we all know, Chicago Sun, organized crime boss. Name inspire terror in everyone in the streets of Chicago was afraid of him and his organization. He managed his business so well that he was never arrested for that, but for tax evasion, and was imprisoned in 1931. Despite his imprisonment, he led always a good life, and following health problems he died in 1947 after his release from prison in 1939. Number 8. Bonnie and Clyde. I prefer to tell you straight away, it wasn't saints, and believe me, he was far from being elected as the most glamorous couple in the world. They were partners in life and in crime. Bonnie and Clyde formed the most wanted criminal couple, United States. Their leaflets were the most spectacular of the time because they were young, in love and dangerous. During their journey, they committed crimes and leave corpses behind them. They were suspected to have committed several robberies, murders and burglaries between 1932 and 1934, but it was neither hot nor cold because they made the most of their moment of glory and lived happily in crime before being shot all both on May 23, 1934 by police in an ambush. That's it, friends. This is the end of this video. I hope you like it. That's the case, don't forget about you subscribe and activate the little bell notifications to stay connected on the next themes, and of course, don't forget to leave a little boost bruises and give me your opinion in comment.